I now invite Ms. Shubha Mony Kasi, the head of TNQ Books and Journal, who has a very, big challenge to handle. We want you to finish it by 7 to 8 minutes, madam.
Okay. Now, when I was in school, I used to be very good at extempore speeches. I used to be good at précis. I never expected that I'd have to combine the two, but I'll try. All right? And that's the kind of challenge our youth are facing. They learn one thing, they learn another thing, they come to work, first few years is a honeymoon, they're okay, and 5 years down the line and people are expecting them to do magic. They don't have the skills, they don't have the aptitude, they don't know how to do what they're supposed to do, right? So what I'm going to do, although the 7 minutes part is not easy, the rest of it is relatively easy. I'm going to try and take you into a future and try and tell you what skills are going to be important, say 5 years from now, 10 years from now. A lot of it will be what one of our earlier speakers said, Archamave da arika pore, but idli badra masala dosya vat pakre. All right? I know lunchtime analogy is appropriate. Okay. So I'm not going to go through all of these, you will understand. The point is just that you don't need to stick with engineering. There are other skills that need to be used. There's been a lot of research in this area, and as many of my colleagues have said, Google will tell you all of them. So the takeaway from this slide is simply that if you look at the kind of skills that are required going forward, you don't find engineering skills, you don't find core knowledge skills. Those are assumed to be done, and that's knowledge. You're not looking at knowledge anymore. So the kind of skills that people are looking for are leadership, their management skills, their personal skills like resilience and learning, right? So now, what are the main drivers of change? And listen, I know we're all hungry, but just 5 minutes and I'll be done, okay? So what are the main drivers of change? People are living longer. People are working longer. Machines are smarter. Machines are able to do more. So we have less to do. Therefore, we have to find newer things to do. Social media, smack that we all spoke about. So all of the above. One big change is expectations of us and that we have of other people. My daughters expect that I will be available for them 24/7. My office expects the same. I expect that I can take a holiday 2 days a week. So there are expectations that we have of ourselves and of others which are driving all of this. One of the main reasons for that is that all the changes that are happening in technology, see, all the changes that the world has gone through earlier have been in one sphere. When the Industrial Revolution happened, that was at work. The home space was still fairly secure. And that happened with the knowledge economy coming in as well. This change has almost started from the home. We've all heard it said, our children are teaching us about mobiles, about internet access, about learning from the web. So this is a change that's all pervasive. So what will companies want? So my mandate was really to talk about what will companies look for in the coming years. Let's look at it in two ways. What will they want from the jobs that they have, and what will they want from the people who fill those jobs? So from the jobs, you will not join a company. You will join to do a particular job. So no more will you join the Tatas and live there for the rest of your life. No more will you join one organization. That's not what you're joining. Loyalty is dead. What you will join as someone entering the workforce is you will join a specific role and deliver to fulfill that role. When that's done, if there isn't another role that makes you happy, you will move, and that will keep happening. So the jobs will be specific, they will be clear, they will be mobile, which does not mean the person is mobile. It means if costs are cheaper in India, that job is done out of India. If costs are cheaper in the US, we're hearing more and more about IT companies where they're moving jobs back to the US. Because forget the cost, they need to be more they need to be near the client, or different reasons. So jobs have to be mobile. Jobs have to be measurable. If I want to live by what job I do, I need to know, and my employer needs to know what is expected of me and whether I've done it or not. Finally, they have to be meaningful. No one is going to stay with a job simply for a job. Right? So they have to be meaningful. So who are the kind of people who are going to fulfill these jobs, who are going to be doing these jobs? They're going to be mobile adaptable. No prizes for guessing that. They're going to be learning. They're going to be thinking. They're not going to be doing it by the SOP simply because the SOP says do 1, 2, and then 3. Right? They're going to be multidisciplinary. which follows from learning. They're not going to pick up one skill and spend the rest of their lives in one skill. I don't mean that they're going to do 10 things at a time. What I mean is they pick up one skill, they master it, they deliver, they move on to another, master, deliver, move on to another. Depth and value are going to be important. Expressive. We've all heard a lot about communication and what that really means. I don't think of it as communication skills. I think of it as expressive, which means they have something to express and they have the need to express, they have the confidence to express it, and they know how to do that. So it doesn't matter what language you're doing. One of the biggest, this is the only anecdote I will narrate, okay? One of the biggest changes for me when I moved from a large product development company to the company I'm with now was a big change in culture of using Tamil also in the office. I'd always been this very, no, I don't speak Tamil in the office, I'll speak only English. Now I find myself so much more comfortable speaking in Tamil, learning one kural every week, doing all that kind of thing. So that kind of expressiveness is what companies will encourage. People be themselves and they're able to express it. So what will okay, I'm going to skip this slide. This was just my own little theory on what the labor market will look like. We'll skip it and we'll go to the meat of this presentation, which is what are the skills that people will need to be employed. There are 500 skills. We won't talk about all of them. I can see him smiling. Okay, learning ability is number one. Now all this is on top of expecting that your fundamental core skills are there. So I'm not going to talk about technology or finance or whatever your core work is, but learning ability. Social intelligence. You cannot survive. You remember in Jurassic Park there was this one guy who was all alone and he finally ruined the entire experiment for his father. So social intelligence is going to be critical to succeeding at work. And companies are going to look for it. Companies are going to look for technologists who can work with and on social media. They're going to look for support staff in accounts, HR, management positions who can work with social media. Technological competence, not technology savvy. Technological competence, which means I don't just use my mobile phone for phones, messages, WhatsApp and whatever else. I know what all it can do and I'm able to link it with other parts of technology. Accountability. Go back to what I said in the beginning. You join for a job or a role, you don't join a company. And if that happens, then you're accountable for that delivery. You will be working in remote teams, different parts of the world, there'll be flexibility in work. So accountability is critical to hiring in the future. Application and making connections. We've heard this before. It's not knowledge, it's how you use it. Knowledge is there, it's all over the internet. It's how you pick it up and use it, right? So knowledge and making connections. Making connections between disciplines, making connections between technologies. Finally, data interpretation and logical reasoning is to say there is too much data. There is so much data and all we're doing is adding to it. And because knowledge is so easily available, everyone has access to all the knowledge that there is. So your ability to understand that data, know what it means, link it to other bodies of data, and then come up with a reason for why a solution or a proposal or an idea or a product will work, that's going to be a differentiator. How did Facebook come up? I'm not going to go into the examples. You know, all of you know what those examples are. For my friends from colleges, you know the students who are able to make connections between different subjects and therefore do better. That's the kind of skill that we'll have to build. This was really more on the same skills and what do universities have to do to build those. But that's a topic that some of my colleagues have covered earlier, so I'm not going to talk too much about it. What should students do going forward? One, be ready to learn, which doesn't only mean new technologies, be ready to reinvent themselves. Always think and evaluate options. Literally, the world is their oyster, so they can choose to do what they want to do. Be ready to redefine oneself, like I said. Be prepared. Be prepared because the world is constantly changing. So these are the things that we will expect candidates to do. We will expect candidates who can think on their feet and do all of this. Finally, brave and self-confident. It's a new world. There are no roles anymore. The old roles don't work. Like someone said, the curriculum was defined 50 years ago. That's not a curriculum, that's dead. So there are no roles. So that's what we expect. We expect someone who will be willing to learn, able to redefine themselves, and be accountable for the work that they're expected to do. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.